Good evening to everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Marty and Rivka Himmel who are sponsoring this recording, this Dvar Torah for Parsha Emor. And the reason for their sponsorship is that they're relocating to Ra'anana after being a brief time in our community. They've left an impact on the community. It's just, they've been an inspiration. It's always wonderful to see how Dr. Marty, how you come to shul always half an hour for the time. You say korbanot bekavana. And we wish you and Rivka and the whole family that you should have a lot of nachas and simcha in your new home in Ra'anana, and that your relocation there will be for you an aliyah, a constant elevation in your avodat Hashem and in your simcha, and that you should be zocher to a lot of nachas and simcha, you and all your family. Thank you very much for sponsoring this Dvar Torah, and we'll miss you, and we hope that now and again we'll still be able to meet one another either in Ra'anana or in Netanya. In Parshat Emor is famous for a listing of all the chagim and the various halachot that affect these chagim or that express the chagim. And amongst the chagim, the way the Torah starts off is to speak a little bit about Shabbat. Everybody asks, Hare Shabbat doesn't really belong to the category of holidays, to a Yom Tov. We all know there's a concept of Shabbat and Yom Tov. So what's it doing over here amongst the list of all the Chagim? And the Ramban raises this question amongst all the other Mefarshim, and the Ramban says, amongst the many other answers, is that the Torah puts Shabbat, so to speak, in parenthesis. It doesn't belong here, and it's just in a way to try to contrast that even though all the other Yomim Tovim, besides Yom Kippur, you're not allowed to do any melacha, you're not allowed to do any not allowed to do any work. That's how it is in Shabbat. But when it comes to Yom Tov, you're allowed to do certain avodot. You're allowed to, for example, cook, you're allowed to bake, you're allowed to also carry. So the way that the Torah introduces again the Shabbat amongst all these holidays was in order to just serve as a contrast, the one with the other. I'd like to raise 2 points in speaking about this contrast of Yom Tov and Shabbat. The first thing is a very interesting shita, a very interesting opinion, that is there a mitzvah of simcha on Yom Tov, or on Shabbat? We know that there's a mitzvah of simcha on Yom Tov because it says v'samachta b'chagecha. That's very explicit in the psukim. Is the mitzvah of being happy, a special mitzvah of being happy, does that apply to Shabbat as well? Now, we all know, I mean, we don't have to think too much. We always speak about Simchas Yom Tov. Whenever we speak about Shabbat, we don't speak about Simcha. We speak about Oneg. We speak about a deep sense of satisfaction and menucha and a sense of rest, of being at one with oneself. We don't think about Simcha. Logically, why is this so? Why actually do we associate Simcha with Yom Tov, with our national holidays? And Shabbat, on the other hand, we speak about Oneg. There is, again, one of the Shita of the Rishonim, the Yereim, who says that there is a mitzvah of Simcha on Shabbat, but it's not, that doesn't seem to be the accepted opinion. And the question is logically, why is that so? Why should Shabbat, why is there the emphasis not so much on Simcha, whereas there is on Yom Tov? And there's two approaches to this problem. First of all, I'd like to give a mashal that I once heard from a Talmid Chacham who was in South Africa. He passed away tragically. The South African viewers who are looking at this, they remember him. Excuse me, his name was Rav Aaron Pfeiffer, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. And I heard from him once the following differentiation or a mashal, some like a parable concerning Shabbat and Simcha on Shabbat. So he says, imagine if a person was, he heard and he took a lottery ticket, and then what he did was he saw that he won. What was his reaction to the winning of the lottery ticket is? He'd start to jump and for joy and to scream and to dance and to make movements with his hands, and he would start yelling and shouting and dancing because he'd feel a tremendous sense of simcha. And then we can imagine now we saw that same person after having pocketed a couple of million, and we would see him now in his Rolls Royce with a chauffeur, they're sitting at the back, smoking maybe a cigar, feeling a sense of mamash contentment, a sense of relaxation, a sense of being really happy with one's life and content with one's life. And so Rabbi Zatzal said that the mitzvah of simcha, if there is any mitzvah of simcha, is only the mitzvah of simcha on Erev Shabbat. But on Shabbat itself, when the mode, the type of behavior, the type of inner emotion that we should feel is one of the person having now been zocheh, so to speak, to the lottery, and the way that he expresses from an emotional point of view, his happiness at having won the lottery is a sense of contentment. So in short, the mitzvah of simcha then on Shabbat, if there's any, is only on Erev Shabbat, and on the Shabbat itself, the emphasis is on dafka on contentment, of a sense of satisfaction. The reason basically for this is very simple, because Shabbat is a matana. It's a gift from above. It's something which is ma'en olam haba. And the effect of the connection of Hashem in such a close way is that there is no longer dichotomy between the body and the soul, and that results in a sense of menucha and satisfaction. And on Yom Tov, on the other hand, because it's not so much a matana of Hashem, it's a national holiday. Hashem was involved in delivering us, in steering us on a certain path in our history. So that elicits a sense of simcha, of happiness, but it's not the same cleaving, it's not the same attachment as there is in Shabbat, which we speak about being as a ma'en olam haba, and therefore the reaction one is one of simcha more than one of satisfaction. The other way to explain this difference between Shabbat and Yom Tov as simcha as opposed to satisfaction is that simcha in Jewish literature is always a product of a person's efforts. The difference between fun and between simcha is that fun is that the person is a recipient of an outside stimulus, and simcha and happiness is always associated with a person's toils and efforts to achieve a certain amount. So when it comes now to Yom Tov, where we, Hashem helped us in our history, but in Yetziat Mitzrayim, Matan Torah, Sukkot, we were to some extent, we were involved in the events, and therefore whenever a person is involved and exerts efforts, there is the key, and that is when a person feels simcha, a sense of happiness. And on the other hand, on Shabbat, a person is totally passive. A person in no way did we create at all any aspect of Shabbat. Shabbat is a total gift from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who gives us a neshama yetera, who gives us an extra soul, who makes the day of the seventh day as one of holiness. Because we are passive, we can't feel a sense so much of simcha, but we can feel a sense of satisfaction at being at HaKadosh Baruch Hu's midst. So again, just to summarize, that in this Parsha Moadim, in which we speak about Shabbat and Yom Tov is always characterized by simcha, by happiness. Shabbat always in a sense of satisfaction, and we are saying that the reason is because on Yom Tov there is some sort of participation in the history of the Jewish people in the making of the day, the festive day, and that's the key to simcha. Whereas when it comes to Shabbat, Shabbat is a divine gift, and as such, a person then feels a sense of satisfaction and not a sense of simcha. To Marty and Rivki, that also that you should be zocher to simcha and menucha in your new homes in Ra'anana. That you should all have a Shabbat Shalom.